Hi everyone. Have you never been faced with a conflict that could have been resolved if it would have been discussed peacefully? A few days ago, I encountered a challenge that resulted into a conflict with a very close friend of mine. I posted something on my WhatsApp status and he replied. He replied with a word that I felt very offensive and I had to retaliate. And in the course of my retaliation, the whole of the issues escalated and everything became worsened. I am Franklin, and in the course of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 NVC process. NVC is known as Nonviolent Communication. I am someone who is passionate about having better conversation with individuals, expressing myself, and also being able to listen to others empathetically. NVC stands for the word nonviolence communication, and this time was coming from Marshall Rosenberg, and um, NVC, which stands for nonviolent communication, aims to be empathetic, aims to be understanding, aims to be compassionate with others as a tool of resolving conflicts. So, when we talk about nonviolent communication, it means how to resolve interpersonal conversations without the attachment or without it escalating to violence. Just like I shared about I am my friend. So, suppose I apply the approach of the NVC period before that event, probably I could have handled that conflict peacefully. So, in the course of this video, a 20 minutes clip, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 processes of NVC, the benefits of NVC, and limitations of NVC as well. So, the first process of NVC is known as the observation. We'll talk about observation, we talk about being observant of events and behaviors. For instance, assuming you fix a date, a meeting, a schedule with a friend, and let's say it's by 3 p.m. and you go to the venue by 3 p.m., let's say period to that time, and maybe the supposed friend or business associate that was supposed to be there on time, they make it, and he showed up, let's say 30 minutes late to the time. That's an observation of lateness. So rather than being offensive, rather than being attacking to that observation, you express the second process of NVC, which is known as the feelings. The feelings has to do how you feel, and feelings, like we all know, has to do with anger, happiness, sad, disappointed, and the rest. So you express your feelings, and in expressing your feelings, you take ownership of how you feel rather than trying to attribute the feeling to from them to you, rather than using the word you make me feel awkward, you make me feel disappointed, you attribute that ownership of feelings to you. You then use the word I am unhappy about the situation. I am unhappy that you came by this time. I am unhappy that this is how it ended. You, in attributing your feelings, you make sure that it has to be personalized, because when you decide to use you, you try to make it like a blame judgmental, and that alone can escalate the whole issue, because whenever people feel criticized, they kind of feel attacked, their ego, and most times they want to retaliate, they want to bring reasons why that action was exhibited. So to curtail that, that is part of what you learn from the NVC process. To curtail that, you attribute your feelings to yourself and personalize it. So in this scenario, you kind of tell your friend that I am unhappy that you came by this hour, by this minute, or I'm unhappy that you came this late. Then the third process has to do with expressing of your need, because every individual has a need, and every actions is desired and aimed to meet a need. When we talk about need, we talk about need to be respectful, need to be loved, need to be cared for, need to be listened to, and all of that. So, in this case, for someone coming late to a meeting that was scheduled um, by 3 p.m., that the need of respectful has been truncated, because in the basis of respect, punctuality is also a sign of respect to someone. So your anger, your sadness might derive from the fact that that need has been treaded upon. So in applying this NVC process, you reach out to your friend and tell him your need. And you could go in this format that I need to be respected. You inform him that you need to be respected by him coming early. So once you address your need, once you make your need known to him, he now knows the reason why you were unhappy, and will likely take caution. So next to expressing your need, which is the last and final place, is to make a request. And in making your request, you don't make something that is beyond what he or she can do. So you make a request based on what you believe the person can do. So you may go in the format like, please, can you make it? Can you, maybe in our next meetings, could you do me a favor to be on time at least 20 minutes, 10 minutes to the meeting? Or if you cannot make it on time, you reach out to me and tell me you might be coming late. So in this approach, it helps curtail anything like conflict. So by the time you begin to attack people, by the time you begin to judge people, by the time you begin to criticize people, like I said initially, it escalates everything. So what NVC aims to achieve is to show empathy, is to be compassionate, and as well to be honest. So when all of these processes, when all of these values are met, the both parties will be happy, and the likelihood of conflicts or escalation of conflicts will be minimized. And NVC NVC has doesn't just play a role in just personal relationships alone. It can play roles in both organization. It can play roles in career, professional setting as well. And MVC aims to address not just to benefit you alone, it has to benefit the both parties. So that is where whenever you want to make um a a request, you make something that he or she can do, and he or she can do. So you don't make a request whereby it's something that the other party cannot. So and MVC is two-way process. It doesn't just apply to you, it equally applies to um to the person, vice versa. Suppose you are the victim of one who came late. So someone can apply this process to you, and instead of you to get offended, kind of escalate the issue, you can sit down, learn, and minimize conflict. So it has to be beneficiary. It involves you um being listening to people, and equally being you empathetic towards others. So part of the benefits of MVC is that it can it can be applied in professional settings, it can be applied in personal settings, it can be applied in organizational settings as well. Another benefit is that it minimizes conflict escalations. So rather than um, rather than escalating issue, it reduces that issue. So rather than making it more complex, more critical, it aims to address every issues and seeks to understand both parties. NVC is very beneficial both, especially in the terms of interpersonal and in the terms of interpersonal relationships. So, one of the limitations of NVC is that it requires both parties. Yeah, in as much as I now have the understanding of NVC, how about the other party? Does he or she has the understanding of the net of NVC and how to apply the four processes? That is where the big issue lies. So NVC is limited by the parties participating in the process. And another thing, it requires mastery. As humans, our emotions most time run above us. For instance, you might tend to practice this, but in the course of you acting on emotions, most times you can go beyond what you wished or desire to do. And another thing is that it can feel something like programming, like a plan, like not natural. So MVC has limitations in these areas. So MVC, in summary, is very beneficial to individuals, to societies, and to organizations. It aims to address issues. It aims to address non-correlating ideas. It aims to address conflicts. If MVC can be applied in our day-to-day individual lives, I believe that issues of conflicts will be minimized. When we talk about marriages, we talk about businesses, we even talk about society as large. In terms of marriage, two spouses can come together to, rather than escalating their conflict, we can lead to divorce. They can both sit down and first of all go through the four processes, which involves observation. So rather than observing a thing about your spouse and keeping it to yourself, you state the observation and express your feeling. You could be like, hobby, I am not happy the way you stay close to girls. It makes me feel jealous. That is you as a spouse, as a wife, expressing that feeling. And once that feeling is being expressed, you move to the next phase, which is the need. Because she could say that I need to feel secure. And for me to need secure, please, can you do me a favor by not hanging around young ladies as often as you do? If the husband has this mindset of envy as well, he will gladly um, walk through the need and the request of the wife, thereby minimize the chances of marital issues which could end up leading to divorce and break homes. So I believe with this clip of mine, I've been able to explain to the best of my knowledge and understanding what NVC is all about. I thank you for this opportunity. Once again, I remain Franklin, and I aim to be better at conversation. I aim to be empathetic towards others. Thank you.